Good morning, students. Today I'll discuss with you respiratory system, new chapter. So look, first of all, we'll know about what do you mean by respiratory system. What what do you mean by respiratory system? So look, students, respiratory system is the best of organs that allows a person to breathe and exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. So what is respiratory system? Respiratory system is the best of organs that allows a person to breathe and exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. An example, look, of respiratory system is the human's nasal passages. What? Respiratory system is the human nasal passages and larynx, trachea, bronchial tubes and lungs. So first of all, we'll know parts of respiratory system. So look, what are the parts of respiratory systems? Your respiratory systems or us respiratory systems includes your nose and nasal cavity. Nasal cavity. Okay. Next one, what? Stimulus. Stimulus. And next, what? Mouth, throat, throat's called another name pharynx. 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 And another voice box. What? Voice box. Larynx, windpipe, trachea, and diaphragm, lungs, bronchial tubes, bronchiales, air sacs, alveoli, capillaries. These are all parts of respiratory system. So first of all, I have already discussed with you what is respiratory system. Respiratory system is the set of organs that allows a person to breathe and exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. An example of the respiratory system is the human nasal passages, larynx, trachea, bronchial tubes, lungs, alveoli, sinus, mouth, throat. These are all examples of respiratory systems, and these are all parts of respiratory system: nose and nasal cavity, sinus, mouth, throat, pharynx, and voice box or larynx, windpipe or trachea, and diaphragm, and lungs, bronchial tubes and bronchiales, air sacs, alveoli, and capillaries. So first of all, I'll discuss with you nose and nasal cavity. What? Nose and nasal cavity. Look, nose and nasal cavity. So nose and nasal cavity, actually what is this? Nasal cavity is a hollow space. Nasal cavity is a hollow space within the nose and skull that is lined with hairs and mucous membrane. So what? Nose and nasal cavity. What is nose and nasal cavity? Nasal cavity is a hollow space within the nose and skull that is lined with hairs and mucous membrane. So what is the functions of nasal cavity or nose? The functions of the nasal cavity or nose is the warm, moisturize and filter air entering the body before it reaches the lungs. What is the Functions of nose and nasal cavity. Functions of nose or nasal cavity is the warm, moisturize and filter air entering the body before it reaches the lungs. Understood? So these are all about nose and nasal cavity. Next one I will discuss with you, throat. Look, T-H-R-O-A-T. Throat. Throat means what? Another called, we are called throats. What? Pharynx. So look students, the pharynx or throat is the part of the throat behind the mouth and nasal cavity. Throat is the part of the throat behind the mouth and nasal cavity. So and above the esophagus or larynx, the tubes going down to the stomach and the lungs. Understood? So this is about throat or pharynx. Now look, voice box are also included with respiratory systems. Voice box, I mean larynx. Larynx. So what? The box, I mean the voice box or larynx is a portion of the respiratory or breathing tract containing the vocal cords which produce sound, and it is located between the pharynx and the trachea. So where is found voice box? Voice box found in between the pharynx and the trachea. Okay, so larynx spelling L-A-R-Y-N-X, larynx. So look student, next one I will discuss with you, windpipe. What? Windpipe, I mean trachea, windpipe, windpipe, I mean trachea. What? Look, the trachea or windpipe, colloquially called the windpipe. So is a cartilaginous tube that connects the larynx to the bronchi of the lungs and allowing the passage of air, and so is present trachea, I mean almost all air breathing animals, and with lungs. So the trachea extends from the larynx and bronchis or branches into the two primary bronchi. So got it? What is windpipe? I mean windpipe or trachea. So I have already discussed with you nose and nasal cavity, throat or pharynx. After that I have already discussed with you voice box, I mean larynx, and already discussed with you windpipe, I mean trachea. Now I will discuss with you diaphragm. What? Diaphragm. Look students, diaphragm actually the diaphragm is a thin skeleton muscles that sits at the base of the chest and separates the abdomen from the chest. So it connects, it contacts and flattens when you inhale, when you breathe, and this creates a vacuum efforts that pulse air into the lungs, and when you exhale, the diaphragm relaxes, the air is pushed out of the lungs. So this is called diaphragm. What? Diaphragm. Now look, I will discuss with you bronchial tubes or bronchi. Bronchial tubes. Tubes or bronchis. What? Look students, bronchi or tubes, bronchial tubes or bronchi means when a person breathes, air taken in through the nose or mouth, then goes into the trachea, windpipe. From there it passes through the bronchial tubes and into the lungs, and finally back out again. So the bronchial tubes which branch into smaller tubes called the bronchioles are sometimes referred to as bronchi or airways. So these are all about respiratory system. I've already discussed with you what do we mean by respiratory system and what are the types parts of respiratory system, and all parts of respiratory